All right, welcome back. Hopefully you had some good food for lunch. You got to step away from your computer screen to take a little break. And you are ready for this afternoon. So what we're going to be doing this afternoon is we're going to do a breakout first, where students will stay together and we'll practice using Toulmin's model. And teachers, we're going to do a breakout together where I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I use to teach Toulmin's model and some of the activities that I use and have used in the past. And then we're going to talk about the specialized note taking that we do in debate, what is a skill called line by line, and practice that. And then we will end the day with everyone, teachers included, having some fun practice debates before we are all done. Right before everybody left for lunch, I got a really good question asking about using personal experience as evidence, and if you can or can't do that in the round. And so I wanted to answer that now because that's a really good question. So you can use personal examples, personal experiences as evidence, but all capital letters, but you have to be very careful and realize that judges will not always accept your personal experience as hard evidence. Also, your personal experience is just one example, which means that you can't really apply that to a really large population, because that would be, again, a hasty generalization of applying what was true for one to be true for a very large population. However, they do work, like personal stories or something work as really great, what I call attention getters at the very beginning of your contention speeches. They work really well to personalize and bring things in final focus if you're really needing to feel that your judge needs that personal connection to a topic. But be very careful about using them, because unlike a journal article or a newspaper article, I can't go look up your personal experience, read about it, and verify what you're saying to be accurate. So there's a risk that a judge will not believe or listen to your personal experience at all. So that's my answer to that question, because that's a very good question. We haven't actually got that question. This is the first time we got that one. And that's a really good one. Before we do breakouts, what questions do you have that came up over lunch? Be anything we've talked about so far. Going once? Going twice? Gone. Okay. Again, whenever these questions come up, you let us know. Thank you for the thumbs up, Paul. Yeah, you also can just give y'all like, we're good, Shannon. You don't need to sit there and wait for us. You can give me a thumbs up at any time. All right. Anthony, did you happen to set up breakout rooms?
I did not, but someone has a question, so I can do that right now.
Okay, yes. Lee. Can personal case in research represent a majority? I would say no, because your personal case is isolated to you and whoever, the few people that were involved. So maybe your family or your friends. And to be able to take something to represent a majority, and this kind of comes from statistics and scientific data, quantitative number of data, that you have your sample needs to be, have enough of a diverse representation of the entire population that you are talking about, and, have a large enough grouping for it to be considered to represent the majority. So as we were talking earlier, when I said that the research that was done for the English proficiency exams for NTNU's last topic last year, a lot of those scientific studies only questioned 200 students at one university. And so that cannot be represented enough, or is not representative of all the thousands, tens of thousands of university students that are on the island. And a lot of the time it was also representative of, just one university instead of being multiple universities. So that's why it's the same reason for personal. It's just too narrow, too small of a group. But it is a really good way to if you learn about ethos, pathos, logos from Aristotle, pathos is emotion. And so personal case stories are really good ways to get an emotional response from your judge and to help persuade them to believe you that way. So it's not bad, it's just be careful. Other questions? Okay, what's gonna happen is Anthony's gonna open up the breakout rooms. If you are a teacher, join the breakout room, okay? If you can't join and you're a teacher, please just mention in the chat. Anthony will be able to easily manually put you in the room. Just say, please move me to teachers group or something. Students, click nothing except an X or whatever pops up so that you do not leave this room. You're staying in this room. Don't join a breakout room. Don't go anywhere else. Only teachers are going to the breakout room. All right. We're good, Anthony.
For those, so some of you, you may not be able to click join to go to the breakout room, depending on your version of Zoom. I will stay here with the students. So Shanna, you can go to the room, and then teachers, if you need me to move you, message me in the chat.
All right, I'll see you in a bit, Anthony.
So there should be a button right next to the button for reactions at the bottom of the Zoom window. It should say breakout rooms on it. It's like 4 little squares. And if you press that, you should be able to scroll down to teacher's room and click join. If you cannot do that, let me know and I will move you. Okay. All right. Yeah. Give me a second. All right, if you have asked to be moved, I've moved you, and there should be like a dialog box that you can press to like accept the invitation to move to the new breakout room. Do I need to move anyone else? Yes, okay. Okay. Anyone else? All right. Do I have any teachers in here still? Going once, going twice. Okay. So students, what we are going to do is we are going to do some practice with Toulmin's model. So all of the stuff about the structure of arguments that Shanna talked about for the last little bit before lunch. We are going to practice applying that to come up with our own arguments and start thinking about arguments using Toulmin's model as a kind of outline for our arguments. So let me share my screen for a second. Oh, I wonder if I can make captions. Testing captions. Wow, okay, nice. Can people see this? Can I have a Zoom react if it's working for you? Awesome, okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to practice making complete arguments using Toulmin's model. And the task that I have for you all is you are going to practice convincing your parents that you as a family need to go on vacation somewhere. I know the slide says group. We're not going to do this in groups. We're just going to do it by ourselves, and then we will reconvene to share, and we are going to talk about what you came up with. So important things I want to mention before letting you go to do this. So one is, so you should pick a place that you want your family to go, right? So you should pick, like, the place can be whatever you want, but you should pick a specific place. So like Japan or Northern Europe or something like that. Your argument for why you should take a trip should not be just a reason you should go on vacation, but a reason you should go to that specific place. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to give you all a little bit to work on this. You should come up with at least like a 3 to 4 sentence paragraph. If you finish before everyone else, you can come up with extra reasons or extra arguments, because you can never be too prepared when going to battle with your parents about vacation. So if you finish early, work on that. And I'm going to start by giving you all 10 minutes, and I'll check in with you all in 10 minutes to see how you are doing. Any questions about this before I let you go? No questions. Okay. I am going to stay right here. So if a question comes up as you're doing this, feel free to ask. You can, as usual, just unmute. You can raise your hand, or you can send a message in the chat. Yeah, question from Alexander.
So later when we finish, we type into the chat box.
No. When you finish, just hold on to it and try to come up with some extra arguments. Once everyone is done, we will share. So everybody, I'll have a couple people give their example to everyone, and then we will talk through those, and then we will do something else based on that.
Okay.
Good question. So for the evidence point, you can see where it says source explains chosen trip, whatever. You do not need to use these exact sentences. You can write this little paragraph however you want. If you want to use these suggestions, that's fine, but you don't have to use these. Because of that, you can do some research and find an actual source if you want, but you definitely don't have to. You can make up a source for your evidence if you want. We are not practicing research yet.
We should take a trip to Takan Trail.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think I saw a couple of people join after we split up. So if any of you are teachers and you need me to move you into the teachers breakout room, message me in the chat so I can do that. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. Why don't people give me a yes, so like that green check mark if you're done, and a no if you need some more time. Okay, looks like we got a good mix. So some people are done, some people need more time. Why don't we take 5 more minutes? Again, if you're done, you should try to come up with some extra arguments. So if you come up with one claim evidence warrant, that's great. So now keep the same claim and then come up with a new piece of evidence and another warrant. If you can come up with 2 to 3, that's really good. All right. Why don't we get a brave volunteer to share what they wrote? Anyone want to go? Yeah, Paul, go for it.
Okay, I'll give it a try. So my claim is that our family should take a trip to Yilan, a beautiful county in the east of Taiwan. And my evidence is that, according to Dr. Selina Chan's paper, Imagining and Consuming Cultures, Nostalgia and Domestic Tourism Development in Taiwan, which published in March 2011, Yilan County is now creating a nostalgic past and building a community niche for tourism development. The community strives to outshine its magnificent history, which accompanied by beautiful natural scenery and friendly local people. I believe our family can spend a great time enjoying this wonderful place, knowing more about the land, building stronger relations between family members with safety and comfort. And my warrant is that, therefore, our family should take a trip to Yilan County because it provides amazing historic spots, wonderful natural environment, and a sense of security. Thank you.
All right, that was really, really good. So like you did a great job of providing lots of evidence. I want to talk about this warrant though. So the warrant you said was, therefore our family should take a trip to Yilan because and then you kind of restated your evidence, right? You kind of said it's safe, it provides a good family bonding experience, like you can get together and stuff, right?
Yep.
So why should we pick the trip based on family bonding?
Well, because my claim is that I'm now selecting a location which is suitable for my family to take a trip together. So if Yilan can provide some great family building experience, then it should be a great place for my family to take a trip together.
Okay. That's a little bit closer, I would say. But do you understand kind of what I'm getting at here, right? So you have a lot of different arguments about why Yilan is good, right?
Yep.
But the warrant, there's actually different warrants for all the different parts of that. Like for example, you said it's has beautiful landscapes, awesome history, very
Yep.
nice locals, right?
Yeah.
For each of those things, the question could be asked, right? Why does that matter? Why does the fact that it has nice history mean that our family should go? Why does the fact that the locals are nice mean that our family should go? And the way that I would suggest thinking about that is, imagine your parents are going to respond to you and they're going to counter with some arguments. They're going to say, no, we shouldn't take a trip, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Or we should go somewhere else because our family lives somewhere else and we should visit our family, right?
Right.
So the point of the warrants is to help you counteract that. It's to say, yes, it's maybe more expensive, but
Okay.
The reasons I said Yilan is good are a good way to decide where to go. The history means we should go there, even if it's more expensive because, or do you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yes, it means that the evidence that I provided will suggest us to take a trip to this place, even
Exactly.
though even though the cons.
Right. It's why does the evidence you've provided prove your claim? How do those things connect to each other?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. Give me a show of yes nos on does that make sense to people? Because I feel like this is really, really key to what we're talking about. Give me some Zoom reacts. Yeah, so I guess maybe as an example, so in your case, one of the pieces of evidence you had was that Yilan is really safe because the locals are friendly. So an example of a warrant for that piece of evidence would be, so claim our family should take a trip to Yilan. Evidence, so-and-so says that the locals there are very friendly, which means that it's safe. And the warrant is our family should choose where to go based on what is safest.
Okay.
Because the point of a vacation is to relax and enjoy ourselves, and we can't relax and enjoy ourselves unless we feel safe.
Got it.
Does that help people?
Yep.
People other than Paul, how are we feeling about that? Thumbs ups? Got a gasp emoji. Nice. William says, I didn't know convincing our parents requires such professional evidence. Good, good point. And it does not. If you don't want to use such professional evidence for this, you definitely don't have to. We're just doing, we're just practicing, and Paul kind of went above and beyond here. William, did you want to share?
Because the example that Paul just presented made me feel like my reasons are really not that professional.
No, it's okay. And I mean, no, you're exactly right though, that a big part of how we make our arguments depends who we're talking to, right? Like, I'm sure Paul put this thing together and it was very well polished and well written and awesome. But if Paul walked up to his parents and delivered that paragraph, his parents would look at him kind of weird and be like, why did you read this so formally and professionally? So if you don't have something so professional, that's totally fine. We're talking to your parents, and if you would not like deliver a normal speech to your parents that is all professional and formal, then however you want to present it is fine.
Okay, I might.
Yeah. Paul says it'll shock them. Yeah, so
I can give it a try.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. My claim is our family should take a trip to Dakin Trail. First of all, we need to take a trip because the quarantine is locking us indoor, and we seriously need some exercise. Moreover, we should mend our family relationship by taking this trip, since a lockdown is causing more conflicts than ever. Secondly, Dakin Trail is not only a tourist spot where people can hike and exercise, but also a convenient place compared with other choices, which can cost us less since it's just a short distance from home. Therefore, our family should take a trip to Dakin Trail because physical health and family relationships matters, and in order to help all of us to live a better life. Additionally, the cost of this journey and how convenient it is something we should take in mind because we don't want it to be too complex, right? The goal is to relax. And that's it.
Bravo. That was fantastic. That was perfect. I have no, big suggestions for how you can improve that. I thought that was awesome.
So nervous.
No, it's totally fine. So I'm sure many of you all are feeling nervous, and many of you all are feeling like, oh my gosh, those were so good, and they were, and like, how could I ever? I promise, all of you are learning. All of you have things to improve, and not everyone, it's like everyone has their own strengths. Like Paul gave a very polished paragraph, but his thing was weak on warrants. William gave a very complete paragraph, but I'm about to give him some other suggestions. So nobody is going to give a perfect speech, and that is totally fine. We're all here to learn and figure out how to improve our thing. Speaking of which, William, the one thing I would suggest for you is, remember, part of the idea of this paragraph is to convince our parents that we should take a trip to the specific place. So one thing to keep in mind is you had a great second evidence warrant where you said like it's really close and it's really convenient, but your first one was not so specific. It was just saying we need to get out of the house because we need to exercise. And that's good, but you can get exercise by going lots of places. Like basically any trip will get you out of the house. So that's not really a reason why it's important to go to this specific place. So that's one thing that I would think about. But overall, again, I thought your thing was really, really good.
Thank you.
Yep. I love all the positivity going on in the chat. Awesome. Someone else wanted to share theirs. I think. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I try?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This is mine. I think our family should take a trip to Canada. The journal magazine has a study shown that Canada is a good place for Asian family to travel because it is a totally different place from Asia, and also it can make your kids know more about Western cultures. So therefore, our family should take a trip to Canada because we haven't had a far away trip since I was little, and I hope by this trip I could get more closer to my family and also create an unforgettable opportunity with my parents. Sorry, there's some my parents. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. That was really good. So you followed the structure, you have some really good evidence. But again, I feel like you have warrants for some of your evidence, but some other pieces of evidence you are not giving warrants for yet. So I think you presented 4 pieces of evidence. You said taking a trip will help you get closer to your family. You said going to Canada will show you a place that is very different from what you've seen before, right? You said that you haven't taken a long trip in a really long time since you were little, and that would be good because it would create exciting memories, right? So again, we need to step back and ask ourselves why, right? So why is it important to pick our vacation based on what places give us exciting memories? What do you think?
It's me. I'm sorry. My grandpa just rushed into my room and had me to help him make some.
Okay. If you're busy, yeah, no worries. Okay,
I'm
let's
sorry.
actually hear from. No, you're all good. Don't worry about it. Go help your grandpa. Why don't we actually get someone else then? So someone help him out. So he said that we should go to Canada, and one of his reasons was that it creates unforgettable memories. So someone help out with the warrant, please. Why should we pick our trip based on what place will give us exciting memories? Anyone have an idea?
I have one.
Sure, let's hear it.
It's a place different in Asia.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's a reason why going to Canada would give you exciting memories. But why should we pick our destination based on where we will get exciting memories? Li and Cheng, what's up?
I would like to say that exciting memories with families will increase family harmony, because when you're during your trip to the place you pick, your reaction with family will be more than usual, because you're not working or you're not going to school in that vacations. So in which that you will get more relaxed in this trip. So and you will get more unforgettable experience and memories, which this will help create better family harmony. And sorry, I'm which will create better family harmony, and which it will be good to the future family relationships. Yeah.
Great, that's awesome. So yeah, family harmony. That's a great reason why it might be important to create unforgettable memories with our vacation. But like Shanna said, remember, we can always ask another layer of why questions. We can always ask, so, okay, so he just said it's important to have unforgettable memories because of family harmony. I could ask him, why is it important to have family harmony? Why does family harmony decide, why should family harmony decide where we take the trip? But, and I'm sure you would give a great answer because obviously family harmony is good. But the reason that I'm trying to get you all to say this specifically and say it out loud is because it helps with those comparisons, right? So when your parents come back and say, no, we shouldn't go, it's too expensive and cost is really stressful and we should not go anywhere that costs a lot of money because we'll be worrying about our expenses the whole time and we're not going to enjoy our vacation, right? That's a counter argument with a piece of evidence about cost and a warrant about stress. So if you don't have a well-developed or well-explained warrant in your argument, you would probably lose that debate, right? Because you don't have a reason why your argument for going is more important than your parents' argument for staying. Does that make sense? And kind of the more layers you have, the better it's going to be. Nice, that was awesome. Okay. All right. So now part 2. We're switching sides. You are now going to take the role of your parents. So for this one, you get to pick. You can either, if you want, give a response to one of the people who shared. So you can say we should not go to Yilon or we should not go to Canada. And I forgot what was our third place?
Darken Trail.
Yeah. So you can give a response to one of those places, or you can give a response to your own place. Does that make sense? So same exercise, you're just now picking the opposite argument. You're saying we should not go. And then you also want to give evidence and a warrant. So I'll give you all a little bit of time to think about that, and then we will share. William, what's up?
I just wanted to ask, will we get a chance to discuss like to each other, or is it you'll be tutoring us for a whole course?
We're gonna do group-based we're gonna do a bunch of group activities later. So just this one we're doing all together, but you'll be splitting up and talking with each other a bunch later on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, if you are done, give me a Zoom reaction of your favorite animal. Is that a snail?
Yep, that is snail.
Your favorite animal is a snail?
Why not?
No reason. That's just not a pick that I expected. Panda, dog, got a cat. Is that a dragon? I couldn't find. It's that green thing. Interesting selection. In the last group, somebody said camel. That one was probably the most offensive to me. But all of your normal animal, your favorite animals all seem pretty normal. Okay. So someone who is done. Does anyone want to share? I want to hear from someone different this time. Yeah, go for it.
Can you hear my voice?
Yep.
Okay. we cannot take the trip to Ilan. My first reason, if we want to go to Ilan, we have to pass through Taipei, which is dangerous right now because of pandemic. And reason two, we shouldn't take public transportation right now, but it takes long to drive to Ilan and driving is very tiring. Three, my warrant. Therefore, we cannot take a trip to Ilan because I believe Ilan is, I don't see the reason and advantages to go to Ilan rather than other places.
Okay, interesting. So you kind of had two pieces going on there, and I think in the part of your speech where you were talking about evidence, so when you said we shouldn't drive, right, because it's tiring, you were already starting to get at a warrant, right? Like your argument that driving is bad and that we should avoid driving because driving is really exhausting or tiring. That's an example of you're starting to build a warrant there, right? But then you actually had a completely separate idea at the end there, which is we can solve the same benefits by going somewhere else closer. And people should remember that, because that is a really, really powerful type of argument that you can use in other more serious debates. So when you say something else can resolve this problem, or we don't need to do what the other team is proposing in order to solve this problem, that's a really powerful style of argument and response. But yeah, so I think for driving, you had a pretty good warrant, which was being tired. I don't think you said a warrant for your first reason about driving through Taipei being unsafe. So I know this is really obvious and really easy, but why should we choose our trip based on avoiding getting COVID?
Because if we get COVID, it just damaged our family's safety.
And why should we care about that?
People right now don't go traveling just because they want to avoid COVID, right? So if we want to go travel, we should consider that point.
Okay. So yeah, we're getting closer. I think it's kind of hard for some of these things because I'm sure you're thinking, like, of course it's important to avoid COVID. Why would I even bother saying this out loud? But remember, the reason we want to do that is because we want to use it for comparison later, right? Because, the kids have some arguments why we should go to Yilan, right? They said it's relaxing. They said there's beautiful scenery. There's all this cool history, right? So when you're explaining the downsides of the trip, it's not enough to just say there are downsides. It's also important to say why those downsides mean that even though there are all these benefits, we still shouldn't go, right? So that's kind of why I'm making you do this, even though I'm sure you're thinking this is super obvious. But that was really good, so you had one of your pieces of evidence was missing a warrant, but there was a lot of good stuff going on. So really, really good job. Charlotte has also shared an example of her version of this. Let's see. Hikers are most likely to get stung by tigerhead bees. Yeah, great. So we have a piece of evidence, which is this argument about getting stung by bees. And then Charlotte has a warrant, which was that we should try to avoid the potential threat and danger of travel because these bees are dangerous. So yeah, nice. Okay, so that is all I wanted to do with you all for this particular exercise. Ooh, question? I think.
May I try?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So for everyone else, before we move on to our next session, I do want to give you all a little break. So if you want to take a break right now, feel free to stand up and stretch for 10 minutes. But otherwise, if you want to share yours, I will stick around and yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. We cannot take a trip to Dakan Trail. And my evidence, people are required to wear a mask whenever going out. No matter where you go, how many people are with you, the face mask should always be worn. Therefore, we cannot take a trip to Dakan Trail because hiking with a mask on feels horrible. When we hike higher, it's possible to get out of breath and even pass out due to the lower air pressure and the mask on, blocking our nose to breathe freely. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, that was really good. So you're saying we should avoid hiking, and your argument for that is it would require us to wear a mask and the hiking experience would not be enjoyable. Now, again, I could ask you a follow-up why question, right? So
Yes.
you're saying it would be really hard because of the mask to hike. But I mean, some people would say that's a good thing. It's training your lungs, right? It's giving you more intense physical exercise. So
Yes.
why does uncomfortable hiking mean we should not take this trip?
Okay, because I want to avoid the risk of passing out and getting out of breath. To make sure this is like nothing goes wrong with the family trip.
Yeah, I mean, you're repeating the same argument. What I'm looking for is, so obviously this is, again, it's the same thing. Like, I understand this is hard because you're thinking obviously it's bad to risk passing out, right? But I'm saying, like, whenever you're working out, you risk passing out from working out too hard. So that's just part of a workout. It's like, it's really good physical exercise. So, but you don't want that on your family trip. Why?
Sorry, again.
So I'm saying that even though there is a risk of passing out, that's a good thing because that's a sign that you're exercising. It's a sign that you're getting stronger. It's a sign that you're pushing yourself and you're challenging yourself to do something new, right? To do something that you couldn't do before. But you're saying you don't want that. And I know it's hard because you're thinking that it's obviously bad to risk passing out, right? But I'm trying to get you to say it out loud. Like, why should we avoid this? Why is this a bad thing to have happen on our family trip?
Okay, might be difficult to look for to find help on the hiking trail.
Okay, sure. So what you're trying to get at is it's dangerous, right?
Yes.
What I'm trying to get you to say is something along the lines of, okay, so it's dangerous, it's a risk of passing out, and those risks are not risks we should take on a family trip, because the point of a family trip is not to do risky, dangerous things. Family trips should be relaxing and enjoyable and easy and safe. We're not trying to get a workout. We are trying to have fun as a family. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like,
Yes.
so, right, because what you're just saying, it's dangerous to go on the mountains. Like, and people go on the mountains still, right? People know that it is hard. It's like there's a chance you will pass out. People know help is far away, but some people do it anyway because they think that's good. They think it's good for exercise. They think it's a cool challenge, right? So just saying there is a chance of passing out is not enough. You need to say more. You need to say, why is that a bad thing to have on a family trip? Yeah.
Yes.
And again, this seems silly because of our example, but you will see more of what I'm talking about when we start getting into these actual debates.
Okay.
This evening. We cannot take the trip to Yilan from official information, 205 rainy days a year. Therefore, we cannot take the trip because you won't see the beautiful scenery. It is dangerous for little kids. It is inconvenient, and it is dangerous because earth rock flow may happen when it rains. Okay. Yeah, so again, really good. For some of these, so one thing I want to mention, which is good. So some of these you didn't make a warrant, but that's okay. So for example, you said because of how rainy it is, you won't get to see the beautiful scenery. You don't need to explain why that's important because the kids, right, already said beautiful scenery was important. So you are just responding to that argument. You don't need an extra warrant because you are just trying to address one level of the argument made by your opponent in this case. So that's good. For some of these other ones, though, again, it's the same thing that I keep coming back to, which is it's dangerous for little kids that may get caught. Why is that bad on a family trip? It's inconvenient because we have to drive our car. Why is it bad to drive your car on a family trip? Or it's dangerous because of earth rock flow or landslides. Why is that bad on a family trip, right? So that's kind of the question you always have to ask yourself. So you finish talking, always ask yourself why. Why? Remember that slide that Shannon had with all of the stars on the slide? Yeah, that's a perfect example. So there's the people who live in Yilan are older, so they don't comply with traffic rules. I don't know if that's true, but assuming that's true, we therefore cannot take a trip because it's not relaxing or enjoyable if it's not a safe place to travel, and we'll get into an accident. Yeah, so that's great. I don't know if that piece of evidence is true, but yeah, so you have evidence and then you have your warrant, which is we should not go, the fact that it's unsafe means we should not go there because it's not enjoyable. Okay, we cannot take the trip. Transportation is inconvenient. Spend time in traffic. No accommodation. Boredom. Better to stay in houses. Restrictions are not lifted. Creates disappointment for family members. Yeah, I mean, maybe old people are worse at driving. I don't know if that's true, but no, you could be right. I'm not sure about that. Paul. Yeah, so this is good. This idea about boredom causing disappointment in our family members. That's good. That's a complete argument with evidence and a warrant. One thing that might help is you should not think of it as you have your evidence like paragraph and then you have your warrant paragraph. For each piece of evidence, there should be its own warrant. So like for this paragraph, the transportation is inconvenient. That's a piece of evidence. That evidence should have its own warrant. For example, we should not go to places where the transportation is inconvenient, because that makes the trip pointless. So this sentence right after that you wrote, where you said we will spend our time in traffic and that isn't worth it, that's a warrant. So you're saying inconvenient transportation matters because it causes delays, and those delays make the trip not worth it because they take up all our time. You see? So transportation is inconvenient, evidence.
I see.
Causes delays that destroy the trip, warrant. Or lack of accommodation means it's a problem for families, right? That's another piece of evidence. That piece of evidence needs its own warrant.
Warrant,
Why does
okay.
it matter that there are no accommodation options? Right? Again, it's inconvenient. It's hard to find a place. If we find a place, it'll be expensive. All of those things create a lot of stress. Stress is bad. We should not go to trips that make us stressed out. This boredom example, and then that leading to disappointment, that's good. That's a complete evidence and warrant. But if you think about it as claim, evidence, warrant, evidence, warrant, evidence, warrant, instead of claim, evidence, 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 warrant, 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 that might make it a little bit easier, because it'll help you see if your evidence is missing the warrant or if there is one there.
All right.
Yeah, but that's really good. You all are doing an awesome job. I'm so happy that you all are contributing. You all are much less shy than some of the other regions that we've done this with already. So you all should be super proud. The teachers are supposed to be wrapping up soon, so they'll probably come back in the next couple of minutes. But if anyone else wants to share, I'd be happy to listen. Anyone else got a paragraph they are really excited about?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So is it better for us to combine every evidence and a specific warrant? It's like a reason to a holding. Is it? Should we just combine it together instead of making paragraphs?
I would put each piece of evidence next to its warrant. I think that makes it easier to follow.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you're giving an actual speech, you will have lots of arguments, right?
Yeah.
So just like here, you have lots of arguments. You have inconvenient travel, bad accommodation, it's boring because it's not a city, right? All of those are separate arguments. So in a speech, you will also have lots of different arguments, but your speech is even longer, so you'll have even more arguments. If you put all of your evidence together and then all of your warrants together, it's going to be really hard to tell which warrant goes with which evidence.
Okay.
So putting it together, I think, makes more sense.